Hello everyone and welcome to Games on what they could have done to be improved. One of the game is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the RPG version of the game franchise. So some of the topic is about what they could have added in the game, for example gameplay, like increase more combos similar to Sparking Zero, instead of being 2-button mashing, increase number playable characters, not everything revolves around Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks and Piccolo. Just because they're more powerful than everyone else don't mean they're more important than all the characters in the series. It would have been more interesting to play Yamcha, Krillin, Tien, Master Roshi, Android 18 and even Chaozu with his unique abilities like psychokinesis and telepathy. You can even add Goten and Kid Trunks at the end of the story. Add in more worlds, explore like Snake Way in the heavens, explore more in Hell or even the Other Worlds tournament where you can enter and fight interesting opponents. This game had so much content and potential that it could have becoming one of the best Dragon Ball games. What they could have done with the series is started with Dragon Ball, the very beginning, which could have been a great RPG action-adventure game similar to Daima DLC that's just coming out. Almost every Dragon Ball game starts with Dragon Ball Z story, which is because it's the most popular in the series. But could be very repetitive due to the repeating Z story over and over again till it ends with the Buu Saga or Cell Saga. The first Dragon Ball series is extremely underrated due to not having enough recognition through the franchise and need representation so that they can introduce new fans for the series. It would be great to add filler or movie characters in the game, so it's not restricted to canon. There is so much to do in the game in terms of its big side quests with its story and make it a bigger game for its content. It feels like you have so much to do in the game that it's worthwhile and not feel like a narrow and restricted due to the canon story. With Dragon Ball GT, that could be its own game due to being separate to its own story and will be big enough to stand on its own. Again, who cares if it's canon or not? This game, you could do so much more, like going into different planets and exploring the universe, which could come up with so many fun mini games and side quests. There's so many possibilities that it doesn't need to be restricted by canon. Which will be a good way to introduce the story of GT, which they could fix their pacing issues and music and experience the whole main story with General Rildo Saga, Baby Saga, Super Android 17 Saga and the Shadow Dragon Saga. With the final option, they could create an own unique contained story that has no connections with the previous series and can be used for any scenario. The possibilities are endless and could be a great addition to the Dragon Ball franchise. So there are so many things you can do with the RPG Dragon Ball games that it doesn't need to rely on Z storytelling canon all the time. Anyway, these are my thoughts on the game that could have been improved on, and I feel like Dragon Ball GT and even a non-canon contained Dragon Ball story could have its own game without being DLC due to this size of it. Would like to hear about your opinion on it as well. Thanks for watching this video.